your career is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a checkerboard, not a ladder, right? So you'll take a lot of lateral moves. You'll take a lot of lateral moves before you take those vertical moves. But that's okay, because every time you're just putting more experience in your toolkit, right? And that makes you more resilient, right? As you get that experience, you have those challenges. When the next challenge comes, you're like, oh, I got this.
Welcome to Moguls Unplugged. I'm your moderator, Detavio Samuels, CEO of REVOLT, and welcome to our beautiful studio, REVOLT Studios right here in Atlanta. First, I want to congratulate the 5 students here for winning the 6th annual Moguls in the Making competition presented by Ally in collaboration with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Come on. Yeah. Congratulations. You guys are amazing. Kenna, Sumo, Megan, Jasmine, and James. Super proud of the work that you guys have done to get here. In fact, we are all here because of you. You are the reason this table exists. You earned your seats, and now we have the privilege of being able to join you. I'm also excited to introduce our incredible guests. We have friend, partner, superstar executive, Natalie Brown from Ally. We have the one, the only Caitlyn Davis, influencer, designer, host. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, right.
And then, of course, joining us from the vibrant streets of Detroit.
What up, though?
What up, though? We have creative extraordinaire, artist, and entrepreneur, Rick Williams. Welcome, King.
Thanks for having me.
Each and every one of you received a flower. It's important that you get your flowers. But these aren't just normal flowers. Attached to each one of them is a topic that we want to dive into. A topic that will allow us to foster incredible dialogue, inspire change, and maybe even challenge our own perspectives at this table. Our hope is that each one of you will take the wisdom that you find at this table and carry it forward with you in your journey as you continue to be what? Moguls in the making.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we want to pop into what's in your minds. Kenna, we're going to start with you. You ready? You ready for the hot seat first?
Ready.
All right. Take a look at your flower. Tell us what your topic is.
Okay. Oh. All right. So my topic says practical and inclusive leadership. So to me, practical and inclusive leadership means that whoever is a leader, whoever is in leadership positions needs to be able to create spaces that allow the people that are in these teams to thrive and to also just feel free and comfortable doing whatever they want to on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. When I think about this notion of inclusive leadership, I think all too often people think it's just about diversity and representation at the table, which is critical. But the magic doesn't come from having people at the table. The magic comes from everybody at the table having voice. And when you allow that, when you enable that, absolutely, those conversations may take longer, but the data says you always come out to the best solutions, right? Natalie, what are your thoughts on inclusive leadership?
Absolutely, could not agree more. And as you think about inclusive leadership, it is a sense of belonging. Everybody feeling like they belong at the table. And that's something we've tried to create with Moguls and Ally, right? You all come from diverse backgrounds. And it's not just doing that in the culture, but even outside, like creating opportunities for us at Ally around volunteerism. So folks can volunteer together, they can get to know each other. And so as you think about that from a leadership perspective, you want to create that type of ecosystem and environment within the company, right? And then as students are going into these companies, you want to get actively involved, build those relationships, because that's really how you can, one, understand the culture of where you're going to work, but also that are actively participating in that culture as well. And you're bringing along people behind you. So you're standing on the shoulders of others, but someone else is coming behind you. So creating those open spaces for other students are going to be really important as you go in your career.
Okay. Sumo, I don't have to ask you if you're ready. You've been looking ready since the second you walked in the door. Okay? So do us a favor. Open your flower and tell us what the topic is.
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
So my topic is entrepreneurial innovation. As an entrepreneur myself, I think this means just being intentional when you're scaling, when you're creating, scaling forward, but also scaling for the future. You know, I'm a huge proponent of leaving the world better than I found it. So I think that's what that means.
Oh, I love that idea, leaving the world better than I found it. Caitlyn, any thoughts or ideas that you have?
For sure. Guys, I'm so proud of y'all. But honestly, when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship, innovation is so powerful, right? And I think imagination is key, right? And just take, for instance, these chairs you're sitting in. That was once somebody's imagination. And we have to keep that in mind. And, you know, like we have a good idea of I got to tell someone, right? And they probably laughed, you know, said you was crazy, but they still had the audacity to still continue and create the chair, right? Which brings me to the next point. We have different variation of chairs. Sometimes it's not about creating a brand new idea, but taking an idea and making it better, right? And, you know, Sumo, you're doing a great job, you know, continue to take risks and you'll be set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're also in like really, really interesting times. Like I see them as like transformative times, revolutionary times, right? You look at what's happening from natural disasters. We're being hit with natural disasters in ways we've never imagined. You're looking at what's happening with AI, with robot, like all of these things are so interesting. And so my thoughts to you are these are revolutionary times. It requires revolutionary thinkers.
Yes.
And you guys should not just be thinking about how you accept all of these changes that are happening to you. As this world is being transformed, what is the mark you want to leave in the world? How do you make this world the world you want to live in? All right, Megan.
Hey.
What you got over there?
Let me tell you. My topic is building resilience. Building resilience means to me being told no, getting that rejection. When you get that rejection from a job or any type of opportunity that you want, it's like that rejection motivates you to do better, come back stronger. And having that, you know, people don't like being told no, but having that, it motivates you more than what you think. And I really feel like that's what it means to me.
Brother Rick, I know you a creator, you an entrepreneur. I'm sure you run into some resilience. You got any thoughts?
When I think of resilience, I think it's a trait that every entrepreneur, really every person needs. You know, life is long and we have to make decisions, and a lot of times, you know, we catch no's, like you mentioned, and it's how we handle that no. So I think there's three things that I look at all the time, and it's faith, diligence, and consistency. Faith is my beginning for everything. I believe God gave me the businesses that I've had and the abilities that I have so that I can provide for my family. And then I inspire them, and then we go out and inspire more people. And I think, one, you have to have the faith, so you have your basis. And then you have to have diligence, because that's your constant work towards whatever you're doing. And that's what's gonna prepare you. When they say no, you're like, it's okay. There's gonna be a yes around the corner.
It sure is.
And your consistency is you continuing to push and do the right things and adjusting the things that aren't so right and continuing to build yourself up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think for your generation, Gen Z. I think you saw that a lot with COVID, right? When y'all went to school, did y'all have to go back to online classes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you went back into the classroom.
Yeah.
And then even when it came to jobs, you know, some people were in the office, now they went back home. And that was a huge pivot for a lot of people. So I think in life, and not just as entrepreneur, we have to be willing to pivot and to be resilient.
And I would echo that as well and just say, you know, it's not the stimulus, it's the response, right? It's how you move beyond the challenge. You're going to have challenges post-graduation. You're going to have challenges, you know, through your adulthood. And so just always lean into those three things that Rick talked about, because just know that this too shall pass. And so as you continue to go on your journey in your career, it's going to always have pivots. Your career is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a checkerboard, not a ladder, right? So you'll take a lot of lateral moves. You'll take a lot of lateral moves before you take those vertical moves. But that's okay, because every time you're just putting more experience in your toolkit, right? And that makes you more resilient, right? As you get that experience, you have those challenges. When the next challenge comes, you're like, oh, I got this.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Not easy, but like, right.
Yeah. Because life be lifing sometimes.
All the time.
All the time.
Right. I think of resilience as a necessary power. Like if you just think about, for everything you do, for every 4 no's, you get 1 yes. For every 10 no's, you get 1 yes. And if we haven't built ourselves up to be resilient, to power through those no's, we never ever get to the yeses. I think that resilience is a superpower for people who look like us. It's in our DNA. It's in our bones. You know what I mean? Like we are the most resilient people. And so I hope you guys, as you continue to move forward, are not just resilient because you have to, you are resilient because it is who you are. All right, Jasmine, we on you.
Okay.
What's your flowers say?
Let's see. So mine is economic mobility. And I feel for me, economic mobility is just about creating those opportunities and also just creating financial wealth between the people that are in your community. And that's one thing that my teammates are going to do as well, is the money that we did win, like investing it and making sure that we're investing in the right causes.
I love this notion about not only are you investing in yourself, but you're investing in things for your community. I think that economic wealth is the key for Black people to be free and for Black liberation. This year, I don't know if you guys saw, I always use this stat. McKinsey came out with a study that said, I'll let you guess if you haven't seen the study. There's no city location where Black people are at economic parity with our white brothers and sisters. And in order for us to catch them, it would take X years. How many years do you think they said it was going to take for us to get to economic parity?
400.
How many?
400.
400. I'll let one more person guess.
I said,
I was going to say 300.
300? You got one?
300.
Okay, so the actual answer was, in the places where it's the best and the tightest, 100. And the places where it's the furthest, 300, right? So if we're all only playing the game for self, our community will never ever get there. And so we have to find a way to not only do it for ourselves, but to do it for everybody within the community.
Cooperative economics.
And that's really why when we created Moguls, right? We thought about less than 1% of venture capitalists are Black. We thought about, economic mobility with the Chetty study. And at the time when we started Mogul 6 years ago, Charlotte was 50 out of 50 in economic mobility. Detroit was 46 out of 50, right? And so, we knew that college students could help us solve some of these issues, right? So let's put together a plan. So your business plan being specific to economic mobility was not by accident. Now we have 10 industries, right, that you all have come up with an amazing plan with. And so as we think about, the next step for us is how do we take these great ideas and we put them back in the community, right, so that we can help the community. So a part of economic mobility, and I'm so glad that you all learned so much about it and you now can take it to Detavio's point back into the community, because that's where we want everybody to live their best life when it comes to their financial dreams. We want to give everybody access and exposure and opportunity so that they can be better. And financial education is a pathway to do that. And so I would just implore you to continue your financial educational journey, because it doesn't just stop with budget and credit, right? It's how do you buy a home? How do you invest your dollars? Making sure you understand what those premiums are. So all those kinds of things skills is what really helps you on your financial journey. And that will help. When we help you, then we help your family, which helps the community.
Yeah. All right. James, all the pressure's on you. Last one, King. Hey, let's see what you got. I know you're ready too. You've been ready. Yeah.
Oh, nice. This is good. Advocacy and change making. So I think to me, what this means is that we have to like start at our own level. We don't have to be like at the top of wherever we are. We don't have to be the CEO. We don't have to be the team leader even. Like at your own level, I feel like every person in their own capacity is a change maker. And so using the voice you have at that level to like advocate necessarily for your colleagues, your peers, and even for yourself, knowing that it might impact other people positively. So I think that's also one thing we need to look at, because a lot of the times I see people saying that like, oh, okay, they're not in the power position to do something, but like you're definitely in the power to like do at least like a little like thing. So yeah, so just starting off where you're at and seeing what kind of change you can make.
When I think about advocating for people, I'm thinking about in our community, when you have different people do different things, you know, a team is how you get things done.
Correct.
And I think too many times we don't speak up for the other people that are in our community, and then you end up working with people that are not from your community. And I think that that's one of our downfalls. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we think that people are going to take what's for me. And I think that scarcity mind state is what we've been kind of conditioned into. And that's something that we have to continuously fight against. Like you just mentioned, it's gonna take all of us to make that change. You know, if we're creating a business and there's other people in the community that can help make that stronger, it's up to you as the leader to advocate for those people, to reach out to those people, to try and find those people in your community to help build whatever we're working on.
When you have individuals or friends in positions of power, people of color, that they do advocate for, you know, like Rick said, having more people like us work in those environments to help push like different projects that's for us across the board. Just like some of my homeboys who went to Howard, they work for a very well-known brand, and now we have many campaigns highlighting the HBCU culture. And I feel like because of them, that's why so many other brands are now trying to push on the movement of HBCUs and how powerful, because clearly here we are with HBCU students, and Revolt knows how powerful you guys are in making an impact. So I feel like you guys should advocate, as well as when you see other people in power, to network to those individuals on how to make different issues become solutions.
And I think another part, just building on what she said around advocacy, is advocating for yourself. Best advice I ever got was leverage your power.
Correct.
Because there's power in the relationships that you build, right? So as you go on your career, make sure you have a board of directors, people that are your peers, people that are in positions higher than you, that you can call on for whatever you need to call on them for, right? I got in this role at a previous company because I leveraged the power of the relationships of the people that I knew at that company, right? That they were able to speak on my behalf and validate me, right? Be a sponsor for me. And so when you think about advocation, advocate for yourself, right? As well as advocating for your community. Because when you rise, we rise with you, right? So.
I think I agree with that. And I think even in my path, my journey through entrepreneurship,
that's advocating.
If you don't have anyone advocating for you, you're not going to be anywhere.
You got to network.
And you start by, like you said, advocating for yourself, making sure people know what are your skills and what are your abilities. What can you do to help build this company or help, you know, tell these stories. Just like you said, the HBCU thing is the it topic right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But prior to that, there's other stories that have been told. And to sell product, you have to tell stories. That's what makes product mean anything.
Right.
So it's all coming from people advocating for me, and then I advocate for other people, and it's a reciprocal thing. That's just one of those I think fundamental traits that you have to have. Like you can't move with the scarcity mind state. You have to know that there's an abundance and it comes from the Most High. So once you understand that, then you can freely help your brothers and sisters in our community, and then hopefully we thrive together.
Yeah, an example thinking about Thurgood Marshall College Fund, right? They are advocating on behalf of students, 52 schools that they are working with to advocate for. This Moguls t-shirt is from designers from Pencil Lewis College. Someone advocated for Pencil for us to partner with them. And so that's the power. Now this creator of this t-shirt, all of you are getting these shirts and all the other shirts that those 6 creators, created for us. So now their brands are going to be on your campus and you can advocate for them because folks are going to ask you, like, where'd you get this shirt from? And so as you continue that journey, and then also the other piece I wanted to say is make sure you give back, right? Go back to your institution and advocate for whatever it is that you're working on. If it's, hey, I'm doing this outside of my major, you all should consider adding this as a part of the major. However you can uplift your institution to help the next generation behind you, make sure you do that as well.
Yeah, as we close out, my 2 last points on this one are, I love both of the places where we were. The one that has to do with self-advocacy. There's a great writer, a great book. It basically says, you have not because you ask not. Right? And so many of us are so used to not asking. So learning to ask, learning to advocate for ourselves is key. There's another great quote, which I get every quote that I ever know wrong, but just know I'm being directionally accurate, that says you will know a country by the way they treat their most marginalized, their most disenfranchised, their most invisible. I think that also goes for us as humans. You will know a human by the way they treat the most marginalized people that they come in contact with, the most invisible people they come in contact with. And we should all be striving to be the best versions of ourselves in that way. Before we get out of here, do you all have any questions for the folks at the table?
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, can I see you? She said, I'm going to go first on the flower. I'm going to go first on the question.
So I feel like my topic is very, very important. But then I also want to know, like, how do you actually foster like practical and inclusive leadership? Like it can be a very hard thing because there's so many people with like different personalities. So how are you making sure that you're not excluding anyone?
Okay, thoughts on inclusive leadership. How do you actually do this thing tactically? One, for me, it is about, I think someone earlier must have said something about like a board of advisors or board of whoever at the table, or the directors. I think that it is important that you surround yourself with people who have very different views. Even as an executive, yes, I need my leadership team to be full of people with different views, but I will also go out to people in the company, outside the company, everywhere, because the goal for me is to get all of the data. The goal for me is to be able to see the world clearly. The goal for me is to be able to see like the entire playing field, right? And so if you're only talking to one person or 2 people or 3 people, I think that's difficult. So step number 1 is not just build the table, but build the table intentionally. And then once you set that table, allowing the space for not only all voices to be heard, but for the conversation to go where it's supposed to go. Meaning there could be, when you have people with different perspectives, it could get uncomfortable. You're gonna have people who are on different sides. That's okay, because the magic, the sauce is in the teasing out of all of that stuff, right? Then me as a leader can sit back. I don't even need to talk. Like a lot of these times, like I just want to listen. Let me, right? And then my job is pull all of the data points. I have the broadest view of everybody because I see everything. And then from there, I can get to make my decisions. So that would be my first response to you.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm going to circle back to the topic I had on, which was advocacy. So the wonderful people on this panel today shared with us that like there are forms of that, which is like self-advocacy and also advocating for people around you and your team. So I want to ask, should there be a balance or a line between that? Because I know some of the times there can be like some trade-offs in the sense that if you're advocating for a group of people, if you're advocating for a team, like it might be at your own expense. So like, how do we practically know when to like cut that balance to make sure that like they both work effectively?
I think it's about intentionality, right? And being selfless. So if there's an opportunity for you to advocate for someone else, because it's not about you, then advocate for someone else, right? I mean, that's the whole beauty of, I'm a connector naturally. So I'm constantly connecting and advocating because it's not about self. I feel joy when I can connect you to a job or connect you with something that you have a passion for. And so you lean into it with the right intent. then you don't have to worry about what's to come around that. As long as you know your intentionality is what it's supposed to be. But you do have to balance that with advocating for yourself, right? If you're going to go into entrepreneurship, you got to sell for yourself, right? Because that's how you build your revenue and keep your business solid, right? If you're going into corporate America, you have to advocate for yourself, right? You have to have the right mentors so you can understand the culture, understand how things move, so that you can know how to move, right? But along the way, continue to advocate for the things that you want to do in your career and making sure you have those strong mentors to help you. Of course, we're always here. We got you.
Yeah, like in my mind, it's kind of breaking down in like to two pieces. Are you in a position where whoever you are showing up in this moment, you have the expertise where your advocacy can matter? That could be in a company. It could be the homeless person on the street. You are still in a position of privilege. They're in a position of being super marginalized. You can help that person. But then there will be some times when you see things and you are not expert enough. You may need to call on a Rick. You may need to call on a Natalie, right? In order to make it happen. I think the second piece of that equation for me goes down to like position. And are you in position where you can truly advocate and make something happen? Because sometimes we may have the heart, but we're not in position. And that's why I think self-advocacy comes in. We talk about that, like you got to put your mask on before you help somebody else, right? So like I live my life seeing a whole bunch of people I want to advocate for and take care of. But I also realize if I put my mask on first, if for REVOLT, if we put our mask on, then like we'll be able to take care of millions of people, right? So sometimes it's a phasing. I think you also have to think about that in a phasing way. And then the last way I'll give you, because I'm terrible at self-advocacy, is surround yourself with people who will advocate for you, right? Because I'm surrounded by a lot of people in my inner circle who know I'm a giver first and foremost in all things. I'm blessed that I have people around me that when I won't speak up for me, they'll speak up for me. And I think one of the best folks to have around you is Black women. They're like the dopest advocators. Like they know how to fight like no tomorrow. So if you're looking around and trying to find someone, start with there's some Black women around you who will hold you down and have your back. In that world, we got to make sure we show up for them, but they're really, 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 really good.
Yeah, I think, pause. I'm going to say the same thing, but I'm going to bring into like the statement my mom too. She's been really helpful for me. So I definitely agree with that statement. And also the analogy you brought about putting your mask on and helping other people, like that's really relatable. And I think that was stick. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I have a question too. Being that we all are, about to be college grads, what advice would y'all have about just making sure that y'all said we're destined for greatness, but making sure that we stay on that drive, because we could get discouraged, we could not have any more resilience. So what advice could you give us?
All right, I'm gonna go on this.
All right, come on.
I'm gonna go. I have a freshman at college, so who gets preached at all the time. So the thing I'm gonna tell you is perform. Right? When you get out and get your job, perform to the highest of your capability.
Yes.
Right? Everything comes after that, right? Have a mentor. Like I said before, understand the landscape of the company that you're going to work for. But at the end of the day, it's pay for performance, right? So what you want to be is a sponge. You want to go in and learn what you can. You want to dig deep. And then you want to also learn after you leave and go home at night and study. So the studying of college doesn't end when you graduate. It really just begins, right? Because you need to learn your craft, right? And so make sure you learn your craft before you quick to jump to move to this position and that position and be promoted. This whole era of I want to be promoted before you have the experience, let the experience guide that. Right? And so for me, I would tell you is learn your craft, find somebody in your craft and then get them mentor you, but then also keep learning, read books, read periodicals, do the things that you need to learn the job. It is so important when you come out of school, it's just to stay focused and keep the gas pedal pushed.
And wherever you go, give them your best.
Yes.
Like that's one thing in my life where I don't care if I was working at the corner store.
Operate with excellence.
They didn't want me to leave because wherever I go, it's important that you show up and give it your best. Because at the end of the day, you're showing that to somebody, and they can be your advocate later. Because everyone that you leave should be saying, man, that made things easier when she was here. And that's what people pay for. They like, if you're a business owner, I'm going to pay the ones who are going to make my job easier.
Yes.
Most of the time you start in business and you're the one doing everything. Then you have to get to the point where you can trust some people to do some of that and take some of that off your plate. And that's how you get to grow till you get to the point where you have a huge business like this.
Yeah. What Rick said, Natalie, always be a student. Being a student never leaves throughout life. Also trust your season that you're in.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of times.
She says that all the
really?
time.
That's what you
She
said,
says
and
that
turn around?
all the time.
You have to trust the season, because sometimes coming out of college, you might not get the job that you actually want. But like everybody said at this table, when you're diligent and working hard and you're soaking up everything, then you move on. But still, God put you in that place for a reason. You might not see it, you know. And also, still, when you are in that season, ask for guidance, right? Because sometimes you do need to pivot and leave, you know. But don't pivot and leave, and you know you still got food that need to be on the table. Because I know sometimes it's Gen Z, as I've been seeing, we'll drop before we need to. But yes, always be a student. Trust the process. Know that you're on the right path, right? That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, so the three I'm going to try to hit are the highest version of yourself, exposure, and you got till 45 till I tell you you failed. Okay.
Hold on, time out. I'm gonna let you finish.
You can tell me, you can yell at me after.
Okay, I'm gonna let it.
So the first one is imagine the highest, greatest version of yourself.
Right.
Like, I can't tell you what you accomplished, but I can tell you how high you will accomplish by the size of your dreams. If you have small dreams, you will only accomplish small things. If you have big dreams, you give yourself the chance, the potential to be great. So imagine the highest, most excellent version of yourself. So after that, go consume all of the content and adapt all of the behaviors and find the friends that will help that version, that human come to life. My second one is about exposure. Like, one of my favorite quotes is, exposure to the next level breeds an intolerance for your current situation. You don't know what you don't know. And so you have to expose yourself to everything. I remember I was like 21 years old, and I don't know, I had some friends that were like, yeah, we're going to go summer in the vineyard. Summering. I didn't know summering existed. We're going to take a helicopter. I didn't know people took helicopters. I don't know that those things existed. Now that I do, I can choose whether I want them to be a part of my life or not. I don't have to take it. But now I know that it exists. And now it goes into this world that I'm curating for myself. So the highest version of yourself, expose yourself so that version of yourself can continue to like grow and expand beyond what it is that you know. And then personally, like, I always just believe, like, you haven't failed until you're like, I said 40s, it could be 50s. Like, the issue that I think happens with us when we're in our 20s, especially now, you're watching Instagram, you're seeing all these things, and it makes you feel like all of these people are doing really incredible things. First of all, half of them are lies. The half that aren't lies are not sustainable. They may work for them at 27, 28, 29, and then at 30, they're going to be lost because nobody cares, right? Your 20s for me are when you get to play. It's when you get to find yourself. It's when you get to explore. It's when you, right? So if you're taking your 20s and you're exploring, and then by the time you get to your 30s, you're like, I think I want to do that. And you lock in on that, by the time you're 40, if you're going to retire at 55, that's 25 years being best in the world is something you chose to do. Compare that to your friends who, since they were 12 years old, said they wanted to be lawyers, locked in and went to law school, come out at 26, hate the job that they're in, and they're going to do it for the rest of their lives. You will always outperform them because they're still holding on to a dream that was created at 12. But you, your highest version self, grown through exposure and giving yourself the patience and the grace to kind of figure out your path. That'd be my answer.
That's awesome.
That was good.
That was good. That's
You
good.
still gonna yell at me? Yell another, let's do it. We here. We family.
It's just, you know, if you watch, think of Tabitha Brown. She didn't start till she was what, 50?
Exactly.
You know, just don't be afraid to start over. Like, I mean, that's what you said, you know, just keeping the same dream at 12, and then now you're 27, you hate it, but still you don't want to pivot. Like we discussed earlier, don't be afraid to pivot. Like and that's life. So I'm a agree to disagree.
No.
Depending on your mindset. How about that?
Actually, no. I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
I only use 50 as a way to make people who are in their 20s feel like they got time. That's the only.
You have a point. I mean, I've had 5 different careers.
Yeah, like
Right? Supply chain, compliance, this charitable work. I've done HR, right? When you think about your career, that's why I said it's a marathon, not a sprint. You are going to pivot, right? But I think what they're both really saying is don't be afraid to pivot, right? I jumped into this community work at a time where I was working in compliance. And when the person called me about the job, I was like, I was your compliance partner. But then what I realized once I got the job and did the job that, this might be something I'm good at. And it wasn't until I was in my probably 40s before I felt like and really knew that I was walking in my purpose, right? And the way I say it is I walk in God's purpose for me, right? It's not my purpose, it's His. And so don't feel like you got to know your purpose at 27 or 35. You might not find that feeling of, I'm doing this and I do it for free until later, and that's okay. Or you might find it earlier, but however the journey is for you, it's your journey. Don't compare your journey to anybody else's because it's what He has for you that matters, not what He has for you and you together, right? It's what He has for you individually and you individually. So just take your time. And then if you've got good people surrounding you, then you'll make wise decisions. No one's going to let you fail.
You said you had 5 different parts of your path.
Yeah.
And those, I would guess to say that those, each step helped the next step.
Absolutely.
And
that's how I did my career, though. Like I looked at the next job that I wanted. So when I came out of school in procurement, I wanted to be a buyer. So I'd look for jobs that were sourcing. So that's how I got that job. There's been just an evolution, and some steps back and some steps forward. Right. So.
But I would be willing to bet it's just a universal thing.
Yeah.
I bet when you were leaving, they didn't want you to leave.
No.
And that's the whole thing. You got to do your best. Make them not want you to leave.
That's right.
Leave on your terms.
All right. We done drop gems. We done drop bombs. We talked about the power of resilience. We talked about advocacy.
Innovation.
We talked about innovation. Need that genius level thinking coming out of this group. Bold move. Entrepreneurship. What else did we talk about?
Economic mobility.
We talked about investment, economic mobility, moving our community up. What else did we hit?
Inclusive leadership.
We talked about being not just leaders, but inclusive leaders. Does that feel like everything we covered today?
Yeah.
For the most part? All right. So as we come to a close for today's roundtable, I want to take a second to just reflect. And also I just want to say thank you for all of the things that we've shared at this table today. For me, this isn't just a conversation. It is a continuation of the legacy that I'm watching each and every one of you build. And you're doing it brick by brick, which is the way that it always has to be done. You know what I mean? So from resilience to innovation to mentorship to leadership, you guys are thinking about all of the things that we need you to be thinking about in terms of how do we shape the future. To the 5 young, brilliant superstars at the table, our moguls in the making, Kenna, James, Sumo, Megan, Jasmine, you've shown us what real leadership looks like in real time. Also super dope for me. Again, you guys aren't 50-year-olds doing this. Like you guys are doing it at this stage and this level, which is so incredible. You've demonstrated the kind of vision and purpose that's needed and required to change the game. And I have no doubt, I'm sure the 4 of us have no doubt, that you all are all destined for greatness.
Y'all knew that already.
Right.
It's just nice to hear it again.
Yeah. Give it to me one more time.
That's right.
Phenomenal questions. I just want to thank our incredible guests that we have today, Rick, Caitlyn, Natalie. You all have offered guidance and wisdom that I think is critical for the incredible journeys that these young folks are on. For you all, what I want you to remember is this is just the beginning. That's why I told you you had to at least 45, 50, right? This is just the beginning. The real work starts now, right? Now you got to get to work, but this is just the beginning. And you guys are taking incredible first steps, including winning Moguls in the making, right? Let's give my hand over.
No, that's exactly right.
And so the journey for you is just to continue to keep pushing boundaries, keep being innovative, keep being great. For me personally, just keep these smiles on your faces, this joy, and keep trying to find ways to leave your mark on the world. Take the wisdom that was shared today, just like you take these flowers, and carry it all forward with you. Let it grow into something beautiful and something lasting. We, folks at this table, Ally, will be cheering you on the entire way. On behalf of Ally, on behalf of Revolt, on behalf of the incredible mentors that are at this table, thank you all for being here, and thank you for being part of this incredible discussion. We, us, we can't wait to see you rise.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.